Right, for number 10, we have a reaction right here, CS2 plus O2 giving you CO2 and SO2. I think the first thing that I see is that it's not a balanced equation. So I will need to balance it first. So I'm going to put a 2 right here for to balance the sulfur. And then I'm going to put a 3 right here in front of O2 to balance out the oxygen. Okay, so whenever you see an equation, you always assume that it is not balanced. Okay, you have the responsibility to check it. So we're saying what? We're saying you have 11 liters of CS2 and 18 liters of O2. So you have these two reactants. So now whenever I see two reactants being given, I'm only thinking about one thing, and that is one of them should be a limiting reactant. Okay, and the way I also need to, and one critical concept that I need to know is the Avogadro's principle, which is that feel free, not yet, well, you can do that, or feel free to assume volume as an indicator of the number of moles. Okay, now you may say 1 mole is to 22.4 liters because it's STP, but it's also perfectly okay to treat liters as if they're moles. And that's how I know, and O2 will be our limiting reactant because the ratio is 1 to 3. If I have 11 liters of CS2, I would need 33 liters of O2, which I don't have. So therefore, this is the limiting reactant. And if I want to find out how many moles of CO2 that is being produced, I would simply use the limiting reactant, 18 liters of O2, and then I would just go ahead and treat the mole ratio as the volume ratio. So that is the key thing from this question. Do you know that you can treat the volume ratio, treat the mole ratio as the volume ratio, and that you have 6 liters of the balanced equation? I get a 3 from the balanced equation. The mole ratio is the volume ratio. O2, 3 moles of O2. You don't need to. That's the thing about Avogadro's principle. As long as the condition is not changing. Okay? I mean, you could change this to moles and then do the mole ratio and go back to liters. And if you think about it, if you go ahead and do it, you realize that, oh, I divided by 22.4 at the beginning, and then you multiply 22.4 at the end. They eventually cancel each other out. Only with a very strict condition, and that is the conditions will not change throughout the experiment. And when they don't mention any changes, you may go ahead and assume that there's no change. No change in pressure, no change in temperature. It doesn't have to be STP. It doesn't. It could be at any temperature, at any pressure, as long as they are not changing.
But if, so liters is moles here, so you just go.
You may treat liters and moles. That's the whole thing about Avogadro's principle. So when you look at this, are you relating this question to Avogadro's principle? That is the question.